Hello guys, good evening. Good evening to all. How are you guys? Okay, I hope you all are good. So let's just do one thing. Let us just discuss today's agenda over here. So what we'll be basically going to do today is we'll be basically going to understand about transition and animation first of all, and after that we'll be basically going to discuss about responsive website. Over there, I'll be going to show you a media query that how we can like make our website responsive with respect to the media query. This is what we'll be basically going to discuss. And after that, we'll be basically going to discuss one portfolio project. This is what we'll be going to do today. So first of all, let me just share my entire screen so you guys will be able to see this thing. Share screen, just give me 1 second. Okay, so let me just do one thing. Let me just share my entire screen. I hope this is visible. Yeah. So let us just do one thing over here. Let's just create a folder. So what we'll be going to do today is we'll be going to understand about animation today. We'll be going to understand about animation folder. No, over here, I'll be not going to create it. I'll be going to create it a separate folder over here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Animation folder I'll be going to create. And inside this animation folder, I just have to click over here in the file one. And I'll be just going to create animation css.html. This is what we will be going to do basically today. We'll be going to understand about animation. Now, if I just talk about what is basically your animation, let us just say if I'll be going to open Amazon site, if I'll be simply basically going to open Amazon site, okay. So at that time, let us just say, okay, let me just go on the home page first of all. Now, you'll be able to see that whether there's an animation or not over here. Let me just see. First of all, yeah. So over here, you'll be able to see that if I'm hovering basically my mouse, let's just say over here, you'll be able to see if I'm clicking on all some kind of animation, you'll be able to see that, okay, I'm hovering my mouse over here. Only this animation you'll be able to see when I'll be going to hover my mouse over here only. At that time only you'll be able to see. Okay. So this kind of animation we will be basically going to learn today. If I just talk about this thing, that there are like different things in animation as well. So just see one thing, guys. Over here in this 3 day of bootcamp, we'll be going to learn about the basics only. But HTML and CSS is really a large part. Okay, it is basically a large language. So at that time, you can basically refer the documentation that I have basically told you in the first session. That was W3 school you can go with. So over there, you will be going to get multiple these things. Okay, what are this function and what are the different type of values and properties over there. So it is always good to go through some kind of a documentation. Okay, because over here we are discussing about the basic part and rest of the things you can understand from your own. All right. So let us just do one thing now. Let us just start the code part over here. So just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So first what we'll be going to do, this is the animation that we'll be going to work with. So let me just write the boilerplate code over here. So the animation we can basically write is basically, I can say, animation we are basically creating. So animation we'll be just going to write over here. And what we'll be going to do, first we'll be going to write our HTML body. And after the HTML body, what we'll be going to do, yeah, good evening to all. So what we'll be going to do after that, we will Sorry guys, just 1 second. Yeah, my laptop got disconnected. Really sorry. Yeah. So after that, what we'll be going to do? After that, we'll be going to implement the CSS part over here. So I'll be going to implement these things, and side by side, I'll be even going to show you. So let us just do one thing to show you that how things are working. First of all, let us just say, okay, this is there. So I'll be just going to write in a simple paragraph, first of all. Okay. Hello guys, let us just say this. I'll be just going to write, and I'll be just going to open it with the live server. Let me just copy the IP and all, and let me just paste it over here. After that, I'll be just going to keep it on the right hand side, and this thing will going to be on my left hand side. So over here, all the things that I'll be going to write, you will be easily able to see it. Yeah, this is good. I think you guys are clearly able to see this thing. Okay, I have even zoomed it. Let me just remove the terminal part. So what we'll be going to do first, we'll be first going to remove it. And what we'll be going to do, let us just create a div section first of all the things that I'll be basically going to write, we'll be going to create a div over here. So let us just define a class over here. I told you that how we can use classes in HTML. Okay, we'll be going to use this classes for the CSS part, for the styling part. Whenever I want to do some kind of a decoration, whenever I want to do some kind of styling, I'll be going to call this class. So I'll be going to name, I'll be going to name is as gallery container. Okay, this will going to be my class. And after this thing, what I'll be basically going to do, I'll be again going to create one more div. Okay, one more div I'll be basically going to create over here. And let us just say this, let us just say if this is the div and I have created one more div inside it. So this is your parent div. And whatever div I'll be just going to include inside it, that will be the child div. All right. Now, so over here, this is going to be, let us just say gallery items. I'll be just going to do over here the gallery items. Now, let us just say over here, I have to do something. I have to do some kind of a animation over here. So let us just insert one image. For the image, we'll be going to use img, right? We'll be basically going to use img, and we'll be just going to write src. That is nothing but a source. So what we'll be going to do over here, we'll be basically going to take the help of one side that is like uh, placeKTN.com. This side we'll be basically going to use over here, guys. So over here, we'll be just going to pick this cat images over here as a like product. We'll be going to see this thing. So this is nothing but the URL I have copied over here. So let's just say this is the image that I am basically using over here. And in the alter, we can basically write, this is basically what? This is nothing but your cat one. So I can basically write over here kitten one over here, as simple as that. So if I'll be just going to do this thing, okay, you will be able to see, okay, this is the one image, but right now it is very big, but we'll be going to make it small. We'll be going to add style over here. How we'll be going to add style? Just wait and watch. So after the image, what we'll be going to do over here, okay, this is basically my image. So what we'll be basically going to do over here, we'll be again going to add one more div. That is again the parent of, that is again the child of this div. Now over here, we'll be just going to mention simply a class, and we'll be just going to name it. Let us just say this is the image, but let us just consider this is as a product. So I have to write some kind of a description about this cat. All right. So for that, what I'll be going to do, caption I'll be just going to write, because this will going to represent the caption over here. Okay. So let us just say kitten one, and let us just save it. Now you'll be able to see we have mentioned this thing over here, kitten one. All right. This is what we have did for now. Now let us just do one thing. Similarly, the same thing that we have did over here. All right. We have to create two more items over here. I can basically say, okay, two more items we have to do. So let us just do one thing. Let us just copy this thing, and let us just paste it over here. Now, one more, let us just say one more. Okay. Now, so we'll be just going to write instead of 400, 401, 402, kitten 2 was there. Now it will be 2, it will be 3, and let us just save it. Okay. I think, okay, same thing I have, gallery item will be there. Just 1 second, guys. Really sorry. This thing you'll be going to copy, and after that I'll be simply going to write gallery items will be there. Similarly, this one gallery item will be basically there. Just see, I'll be just going to show you. Whenever you want to add an animation, at that time only you will be going to use it. Nothing else. Okay, 3 we have. Now this is going to be 401. This is 402. This is just an image that I'm basically passing over here. And this is going to be 3. All right. Now, so let us just discuss it. Let us just see this whole thing first of all. Okay. Now, after that, what will be? Sorry, this should be 2. This should be 3. All right. Now, today, so this is how this will basically going to look like, guys. This will be going to your head, and this thing will going to be inside the body. Okay. Whether this is working or not, let me just see. Okay, this is the kitten, like this is the that we have basically used over here. And if I just show you this one, this is how it will basically going to look like. Is it working or not? So these are the images that we have used in our basically project over here. Just see 0, 1, 2, 3, you will be able to see now. Okay, these are the like images, just see. But now if I just show you the whole folder, just see this image is really big, then kitten 1 is written, this is big, this is big, then kitten 3 is basically written. So what we'll be going to do in this case, really sorry, 1 second. I have to again do it. Okay, like this. So this is all the HTML code that we'll be going to write. Now, what we'll be going to do after this thing, that we'll be going to write CSS style now over here to create a animation. This is what we'll be going to do. Now that is the main thing over here, guys. Now for adding the style, what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to add style. We'll be simply going to add style over here, guys. So first of all, the first thing that we'll be going to do is we'll be going to call this body. Body basically means the whole body, whole side. Okay. Yes. Okay. Body is basically there. Now, let us just say what we'll be going to do in the body. We'll be going to define a margin. Let us just say, if I just talk about what is margin and padding, right? Because most of the students get confused over here about the margin and padding. So let me just give you, let me just show you that. Okay, let us just say this is your main content. All right. So the margin from the border, from the main this thing border to your content, okay, that is basically known as margin. All right. And this is your content, and the gap between this and this is known as basically padding. Okay. Just see this image, guys. If I just copy the image URL, copy image URL, and if I'll just try to paste it over here like this. So just see content, padding, border, and margin. Okay. Now, so let's just start this thing. So body, first of all, margin, what we'll be basically going to write, the margin will going to be 0, that we are not considering any kind of a margin over here. Now, the font will be basically going to decide over here. Let us just say font family will be going to call, and we'll be going to use Arial font will be basically going to use over here. And let me just save it. So you'll be able to see little bit font is being changed. Okay, some change you might have seen. And if I just talk about background color, we'll be going to attach over here background color. So let us just say we'll be going to use white only, but if I'll be just going to use black, how will it going to look like? Okay, now you'll be able to see that this is basically black, the background over here. Okay, just see. But we'll be not going to use black, we'll be going to use white only. So I just have to write white only over here. And if I'll be just going to save it, you will be able to see that, okay, it has been like changed now. So this is it for the body that we have added. Now let us just do one thing, guys. This, what we'll be going to do, this class is basically that you have seen, this div that we have used. This is basically nothing but my container, right? So gallery container we have used. Now this class we'll be going to use for the styling purpose. So how we'll be going to do? Just do one thing, copy this thing, okay, add a dot and call your class. This is how you will be going to call this. This is how we'll be going to add a style in this particular div, or in this, or in any kind of a this thing, or in any kind of a class. You can easily style them. So let's just do one thing. Display will be basically going to use grid. Why will be going to use? Because this is the kind of gallery only, the gallery of product. Right now I have basically shown you Amazon. Okay, just see, it is what? It is a product, right? Like this we'll be going to create this thing. Animation will be going to create over here, right? Like this will be going to have product where there is a description of it, the price of it basically there. So same thing we'll be going to do over here. All right, now, so grid display is basically going to be my grid over here. Now, if I just talk about the second thing that I'll be basically going to write, grid template columns. So in this, I'll be just going to write one thing that I'll be just going to tell you. So over here, repeat, I'll be basically going to call, and I'll be just going to call auto fill over here, and min max. Now you guys might be getting confused that what is basically this thing. So just wait for a second. I'll be just going to explain you what is this thing. Okay. Now the next thing that I'll be basically going to add is grid gap. That means, what is that particular means? Let us just say this is the product and this is the second product. You'll be able to see there is a gap between these things. So the same gap we'll be basically going to add over here. So let us just say grid gap I'll be basically going to add over here. So grid gap I'll be going to use over here. That is going to be 20 pixels. All right. Now, the last thing that I'll be going to do is padding. I'll be just simply going to add padding over here. And let us just save it and let us just see how it is looking. Now you'll be able to see there is a little bit. Let us just comment it out. Okay, now let me just save it and just see the changes. Okay, there is no particular gap. There is no like padding from the body. Okay, but if I'll be just going to execute this thing, you will be able to see there is a proper gap between these things. Now, let us just talk about this thing. Padding I have just shown you. Nitin Tushan. Okay. Padding and margin, the difference between padding and margin I have basically shown you. Padding basically means the distance between from like one content to another content, nothing else. Okay, just see this thing. This will going to be your margin, and this will basically going to be your padding. Okay, so that is what padding and margin is over here. By visualization, you will be easily able to understand these things. That's why I'm basically showing you these pictures. Now, after that, what we'll be basically going to do, guys, over here, you will be able to see what we have did over here. Okay, grid template column. Over here, I have basically mentioned something. Repeat autofill min max 250 pixels, comma 1 f. Okay. Now, so what is basically this thing that we have basically added over here? So let us just try to understand it. What is basically this thing? So this is nothing but this is your CSS grid layout. All right. If I'll be just going to mention repeat autofill min max 250 pixels, comma 1 fr. So this property is nothing but this just defines the number and size of columns in the grid. We'll be going to have grid. What is this thing? Amazon. This is also a grid, right? So we'll be just going to mention that if this is the grid, let us just say they have 4 items over here. So they have mentioned it somewhere that okay, this is going to be the 4 items. This is what they have mentioned, right? So over here, if we'll be just going to call this autofill that we have used over here, this autofill. So what this autofill going to do? The autofill keyword tells the grid to create as many columns as can fit in the available space. This is 3 days, Ankit. Okay. Now, just see guys, what is basically autofill? It is nothing but if the available space is there, it will be just going to fit it in the available space. That is the main thing of autofill. So it will just do nothing. It will automatically adjust the number of columns on the container width, on the basis of container width. And if I just talk about this thing, what is this? Min max 250 pixels, comma 1 fr. This is nothing but this set the minimum and maximum size of each column. Each column can be at least of 250 pixels. This is the minimum width that we are basically giving over here. Okay. And if I just talk about 1 fr, that is like a equal fraction of available space. Okay. The 1 fr basically unit represent one fraction of the available space. That means there should be a space. That much of a space should be there. Now grid gap, you already guys know it, and padding, you already guys know it. Now let's just do one thing after that. After that, I'll be basically going to mention this thing. Gallery item we'll be going to work with. Now this will be an interesting thing, guys. Gallery. Let's just copy this thing. Gallery item we'll be just going to see. Gallery items will be there. So over here, I'll be basically going to add position. That is going to be relative. Now the second thing that I'll be going to add is overflow. Okay, and overflow will going to be hidden. And after that, one thing I'll be just going to add border radius. That means we want over here, you will be able to see in the image like these are like sharp, but we don't want to make it sharp. Okay, so that's why we are like considering border radius 10 px, that is your 10 pixel. Now, box shadow, like there will be a box, we'll be going to see a shadow of it. So for that, we'll be going to add something. Okay, so first let me add it, and after that I'll be just going to explain you what is basically that. And let us just say color, I'll be just going to add black. Okay, so I'll be just going to add 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0.1. Now if I just save it, okay, now gallery item we have basically called over here. Okay, gallery item we have even called over here. So what is, oh really sorry guys, black, this thing like I was basically doing, black is basically there. So black will be going to use, let us just say. So what we are basically doing over here, just 1 second. RGBA we will be going to add what is basically that 0, 0, 0, 0.1. This is what we'll be going to add. Now let us just run it. So what is basically that? Position you will be able to see. Position, there are different type of position, whether I want to place it in the center, but right now I'm using relative. Okay, over here, if you'll be going to hover it, you will be able to see, okay, that the position CSS property set how an element is positioned in a document. The top, right, bottom, and left properties determine the final location of position element. All right. Now overflow that. Do I like basically want to overflow it? So no, I have basically written hidden over here. Now you will be able to see, just see this thing. This image, if I just talk about, just see, now it is basically round. So this is round just because of this property where we have like mentioned border radius that is 10 pixel. Now if I just talk about what is this box shadow and why I have mentioned all of these numbers over here. So you'll be able to see 0 is basically there. That is nothing. This 0 basically represent for the horizontal offset. That is basically nothing. The horizontal distance of the shadow that we are like defining over here. That is 0. That we don't want any kind of a this thing reflection over here. Now the second thing 4px. That is nothing but the vertical offset. So this is nothing the vertical distance of the shadow. All right, the shadow is positioned 4 pixels below the element. You'll be able to see that there is some kind of a shadow over here. So this is what we have mentioned 4 pixels. Okay, and right now it is not responsive, but we will be going to learn about it, Ankit. Don't worry, in the just after this topic, we'll be going to learn about that only. Okay, now after that, what we have like mentioned 8 pixel. So what this will going to do, this is nothing, but this is your blur radius. The radius you'll be able to see, okay, this is basically coming like this, the blur one. It is not having a pointed shape. So that's why it is basically this thing that we have mentioned, 8 pixels. Now, if I just talk about RGBA, what is basically that? That is nothing but RGB is a color, A is nothing. Yes, there is a project, Rajesh, portfolio will be going to build. So 0, 8 pixels, 4 pixels, and 8 pixels. Now RGBA is there, that is RGB is a color. Basically, A is what? A is the alpha. So this is basically nothing the color and transparency of the shadow. Just see over here. This is 0.1 is nothing but the transparency of the shadow. Okay, this is what we have added for now. Now let's just move forward and let's just write the next code also over here. So now what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to work with this thing, images. So let's just say this class we'll be going to work with. So let's just call this class, and what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to work with images inside it. So this is how you will be going to call it. All right. This is how you will be basically going to call it, guys. So what I'll be going to do, I'll be just going to mention width over here. Let's just say width will going to be my 100% we are using over here. Height, let us just say I'll be just going to call auto. And after that, display, display I'll be basically going to use, that is going to be block. Really sorry. Yeah, I'm explaining. Display is basically nothing but a block. And after that, what we'll be going to do, just see 8 pixel is nothing. This that I have basically mentioned over here. This is the blur radius. This basically specify the blur radius of the shadow. The larger the value, the more blurred the shadow appears. Let us say I'll be going to make it 80. All right. Now let us just focus over here on your right. Now you'll be able to see. Okay. This thing. Right now we'll be going to use it. No problem. Right now, this is just a demo code that I'll be going to show you over here. Sorry, yeah, over here like this. Now, so width is 100%. Height, auto adjust, it will basically going to do. Yes, there is a project. Now, display is basically going to be black. Now, if I just talk about border radius, that is basically going to be 10 pixel. The image, I'm talking about the image for now. Now, I'll be just going to add now my first transition, guys. First transition we'll be going to work with now. First transition we'll be going to add. So I'll be going to add it transform 0.3 second. This is the time for the this thing transition that I'm giving over here. Now, what kind of a transition? Easy in and out. Just see this thing. This I'll be just going to use over here. Okay, so right now my website is basically looking like this. So let's just move forward and let's just do one thing. So this is, I have added a transition. Okay, this is like I have basically added a transition over here. But I basically have to give something like when I want transition. So I want transition. If I just show you Amazon, that when I'm hovering my mouse over here, only then you will be able to see these things like this. So I even want to add the same thing that when I'll be just going to hover my mouse on the images, at that time only it should show me these things. So for that, what we'll be going to do, guys, we'll be just going to add one thing that is known as key frames. So now I'll be just going to do slide up. I'll be basically going to use slide up. I'll be basically going to use, guys, over here that whenever I like going to hover my mouse over here, so my animation should like slide up like this. So this is what I am basically using over here. So I want from where I basically want this thing. So let us just say transform what it will basically going to transform. So let us just say it will going to transform translate. Okay, why I'll be going to use that is going to be 100%. That means I want to start it from the bottom and it should keep going till the top. So for that I have to mention one thing also from. So to like from matlab kahan se mujhe chahiye, but to from like till where. So for that I'll be just going to mention the same thing over here. Let us just okay, let me just write it over here. Transform, and this is basically going to be translate y, but this is going to be 0%. I'll be even going to change this value so you'll be able to know how things are working. Okay, like this. Now I want, okay, I have added a transformation over here, but I want that when I'll be just going to move my mouse over here, only then it should like appear. So for that, what I'll be basically going to do, I'll be going to add one thing. What is basically that? Gallery items. Whatever things are there in gallery item, I want to pick that dot gallery items. What I want to do now, I want to hover, right? Hover we will be basically going to do. I want to hover it. What I want to hover? The image part. Now, animation I'll be basically going to use. What kind of animation I'll be going to use? This thing that I have defined just in front of you, that is going to be slide up. Slide up I'll be basically going to use over here. So the animation time will be, let us just say 1.5 second. It should be less, but this is just a demo purpose that I'm showing you. And this is going to be easy in and out. And in which direction I want? Forward. So let us just save it and try it. Just see. This is the animation that we have added. Now let us just try to understand. Animation for the, if we have to call the animation, we understood that we have to call this keyframe. So we have added slide up that मुझे y से चाहिए, जैसे आप देख रहे हो, it is like coming from the bottom, and over here I mentioned 0%. That means it should go till the top. But what if I'll be just going to mention 50%? It will not go till the top. Just see, it will going to stop in the middle only. That's why I have mentioned 0 over here. Now gallery item hover image is basically also animation slide up. The this thing is basically just see the animation time is 1.5 second. But if I'll be just going to do it 0.5 second, it will be fast. Just see like this. Okay, so easy in and out. That in and out, this is like the value, and I want forward. This is what I have basically mentioned over here. Now let us just do one thing. Let us just create a caption for it. You'll be able to see on the Amazon that these are the captions: egg, meat, and fishes. Multiple things are basically there. So we'll be just simply going to add a caption over here. So for the caption, what we'll be going to do, just the kitten one we have written. So this caption we'll be going to call this particular class. Okay, all the style that we'll be going to call over here. So this class name is caption, this caption also, this caption also. So this will apply on all of these three captions. Okay, so it is nothing but a caption we'll be going to call over here, and we'll be just going to write something. Okay, what position you want of the text? I can basically say absolute. Okay, absolute position I basically want to do over here. Now let us just say bottom will basically going to be 0 over here. Now the left is still going to be 0 over here. Now width, I want to consider it 100% width over here. And after that, what I'll be going to do, let us just say background color. So let us just say I'll be going to use black over here. Okay, black I'll be going to use. If I just talk about the main color of it, so let us just say that is going to be this one, alec blue. And after that, padding is basically the that I have just explained you what is basically padding. So that is 10 px. And after that, text align is basically there. So I'll be just going to mention center. That basically means the text that will be there, I want to be in the center. Okay, opacity is basically there. Basically no need for the opacity, but let's just paste it over here. You will be able to download it after, just wait for this session. After this session, you will be able to download it. So transition will be there, that is opacity. Okay, transition will be basically going to use. So that is basically going to be opacity 0.3 second will be going to use. Easy in and out. Now let us just save it and just see. Opacity is basically 0. I have to do it 1. If opacity basically means whether you want to show something or not. So if this is basically going to be 0, you will be not able to see anything. But if you'll be able to mention 1 over here, this is, you'll be able to see kitten over here. But let us just do one thing. This kitten, that heading is basically there. I want to even add a transition over here. So let us just add it, guys. Okay, so let's just add it. So for that, what we'll be going to use, we'll be going to use this thing only, guys. Okay, now so let's just do one thing. Let us just call key frames, and after that, fade in, I'll be basically going to use fade in, and after that, I'll be just going to mention from opacity 0 to, I basically want opacity that is going to be 1, or let us just say 0.5. Little bit transparent I want it. I want it to be little bit transparent. Okay, so this is the like animation we have again created. Let's just say fade in, I have basically created from opacity 0 to opacity. Now let us just see how this will going to work. So now we have to even call this keyframe that we have created over here like this. Over here we have created a slide up, so we have mentioned it over here. Similarly, what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to mention it in the caption. So gallery item, we'll be going to copy this thing. This is going to look like dot gallery item. It is going to be hover, and let's just say caption I'll be just going to use, because on caption we are doing on this kitten one, where you will be able to see kitten one is written at that time. So animation I'll be basically going to use, that is going to be fade in. Okay, fade in. Now 0.25 second I want the fade in, sorry. 0.25 second I want the fade in. Now this is going to be easy in and out, and forward I basically want. Okay. This is what we will be basically going to do over here. All right. So let us just see this thing, guys. Let us just try to run it and let us just see that how basically this will going to work. So let us just save it. Okay, now you'll be able to see it is being faded. Just see. Kitten one is also like fading. If I'll be just going to increase the time, let us just say if I'll be just going to increase the time to this one, right? So at that time, what will going to happen? Just see. You'll be able to see it is fading but little late. Okay. Sarthak, what are the keyframes? Okay, basically, if I just talk about the keyframes, so keyframes are used in like conjunctions with the keyframe that we basically see in CSS. We basically use it for the styling purpose. Okay, keyframe basically allows you to create animation by defining how an element should look at various points. Let us just say we was basically having this thing, image is there, caption is basically there. So it is basically nothing, it will basically going to help you to create animation. That is basically what a keyframe is. Okay, now so this is basically what our animation is, guys, over here that we have basically created. So this is your animation and transition. So this is one topic. So let us do one thing. Now let us just start with another topic. So the another topic will going to be your responsive site. So if I just talk about a responsive site, right? So if I just show you one thing that in even responsive site, you might have not heard about all of these things. So let me just show you. Because if you'll be even working in the industry, it is not like this that you are working with all of this response. Because if you are like creating a backend or something or a mobile app you are creating, for that we have different teams and all. So we have like viewport is basically there, grid view is basically there, media queries is basically there, image, videos, frameworks, templates, multiple things are basically there. So these are the main topics, so I suggest you to just go through with this one, this documentation, so you will be able to learn all of these things. But today we'll be going to talk about media queries only. So now let's just talk about this Amazon. Okay, let's just talk about this Amazon. So if I'll be just simply going to inspect it, and if I'll be just simply going to switch it to the mobile one. Okay, so let's just say if you are using a mobile like this. Okay, just see, even on the mobile, each and everything is like clearly visible, each and everything is like clearly readable. Okay, what you are basically asking? This is the keyframe that we have created. This is the name of it. Okay. This is what we have did over here. Now, so you'll be easily able to see that if I'll be just going to open any kind of a site on this thing, mobile, so it will be even same readable. Each and every image is like manageable, the padding, the gap, the margin, each and everything is basically there. You will be easily able to view each and everything. It is like same readability will be there, same visuality is basically there. So this is basically nothing but a responsive site is. Okay. So now, so let us just do one thing now, guys. Let's just do one thing now, guys. Uh, so let's just do one thing. Let's just start coding with respect to the media query over here. So what we'll be basically going to do over here, guys, we'll be going to create a site where we'll be just going to add some kind of a blocks, some kind of a containers will be there, and we'll be just going to define a media frame that if the device will basically going to change, let us just say our device is changing like this. If this is your device, if you'll be switching to iPhone SE, this is what it should look like. iPhone XR is basically there, then this is how it should basically look like. iPad is mini is basically there, then this is how this site will basically going to look. And if it's basically a web page, so at that time it will going to look like this. Okay, as simple as that. So what things will basically happen over here? Let us just say if I just talk about a pixel value of my computer, it will going to have some kind of a pixel value. But if I just talk about the pixel values of my mobile, for sure it will going to have less pixel values as compared to the laptop. Okay, so what we'll be going to do over here, so what we'll be basically going to do over here, guys, is that we'll be basically going to send some kind of a width over here, some kind of a pixels. This is what a responsive website is. Let us just say if you are opening that particular site in basically a device, so obviously it will going to have less pixels, the width will be less. So the same thing we will be basically going to do over here. It is nothing, but if we will be just going to add a condition over here that if this site is basically less than this, then just do this thing. This is what we'll be going to do today. So let's just do one thing. Let's just do our boilerplate code, and over here, let's just write responsive site. And over here, let's just write paragraph. And so initially, I'll be going to show you hello. So minimize it and let's just try to run it. This will be going to paste over here in the Chrome. So side by side, we can even inspect it. Okay. So over here, what we'll be going to do first, again, we'll be basically going to uh, so what we'll be basically going to do over here, guys, is that first we'll be going to write the HTML body, and after that, what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to write this thing, the CSS part of it. So let's just start writing it. So first, what I'll be going to do, first I'll be just going to define these things uh, in a this thing. First, I'll be just going to define these things in a div. So let's just do this thing. Okay, just one second. Okay, let's just write the div over here. So div, I'll be basically going to write first of all over here. So let's just create a class basically over here. So the class name, I'll be basically going to write row. Okay, this is going to represent my row. Happy Valentine's Day, Gaurav. Okay, now after that, what I'll be basically going to do, guys, I'll be again going to create one more container that is basically, I'll be again basically going to create a div. So over here, this div is basically a child div. And over here, this div that you'll be able to see, this is basically nothing. This is basically your parent div. Okay. Class that is basically going to be over here. Let us just name it a call 6 and menu. So over here, you'll be able to see that we can even name two things in a class. So I'll be going to call it by call 6 or menu also. So two things I have basically added over here. And after that, What I'll be going to do, I'll be simply going to do the, I'll be simply going to call the UL. UL basically stands for what? UL basically stands for unordered list. Okay. Now over here, I'll be just going to call list items. That is going to look like this. So let us just say I'll be just going to write something over here. So let us just say I'll be just going to write the flight. I'll be going to write. Let's just copy the same thing and paste it over here. Four values I'll be just going to create. The city will be there. And after that, I'll be just going to do, let's just say the island will be there. And after that, let's just say the food will be there. Okay, Richard, just see one thing. What you basically have to do initially as a fresher, you can basically create portfolios and you can basically clone any kind of a site and you can basically create your own site also. And try to get some kind of a fresher job or maybe for an internship where you can like get more projects. Just try to do that internship for 1 or 2 months. And after that, you will be like really good to go for a job. Okay. So this is basically your food and this is basically your div that we have basically created over here. All right. Now, after that, what we'll be basically going to do, guys, we'll be again going to over here, going to create a div that is basically going to be your call six. Okay. Just give me 1 second, guys. So if I just talk about this is how this will going to look like your site. But just give me 1 second. Okay. So let me just do one thing over here. Okay. Ankit, just portfolio is nothing but your resume. Portfolio is nothing but your resume. Okay. Just give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So basically, your portfolio is nothing, guys, but portfolio is basically your resume that this is your contact number and all. So these are the basic project that you can start with. Now, if you are asking me how to get an internship, there is a really good site, Internshala. Try to apply on that. For sure, you will be going to get an internship over there. Try to apply on LinkedIn. Try to apply on this thing. Uh, Yes, obviously. Like 1 or 2 months internship is like really good because just see, if you'll be just going to go in an industry at that time, work will be little bit different. It's not like that you'll be hard codedly going to write HTML and CSS code and all. Things will be like little easy and all. You might have to work with other languages also. Okay. If I just like talk about myself only, uh, uh, best platform to learn Python language, W3 school, you can basically follow. And we have even launched this thing, Python. This thing was there, Python classes. We have still launched on this past week. So you can even watch that. Hardly it will going to take 15 to 20 days to learn Python, trust me, for industry level. Utpal, just do one thing. Try to do little bit hard work for 1 or 2 months. That will be good. Okay. Don't be this thing that I want a remote job and all because things will be little hard. Just see. Because companies, there's like no loss for the companies. If I just talk about this thing, loss is ours only. So try to adjust little bit. That will be really good. Okay. That will be really good, guys. Online course you can even do. Online BTech, Let's Upgrade have launched, so that you can even do. There is no problem in that. Okay, so there is no problem in that, guys. Just let me just share my entire screen now. So, like in industry, you have to work with multiple languages. If I just talk about, I have to work sometime with this thing. CSS is basically there, and you can choose Bootstrap. Bootstrap, that will be good. Okay, is my screen visible, guys? Because let me just again share it. I think there's some kind of a problem I'm facing. I think it is not visible right now, right? Uh, okay. Now it should be visible. If I'm sharing a Chrome tab at that time, it is showing, but yeah, but if I want to share my entire screen, maybe some kind of a problem I'm facing at that time. Just wait. Okay, now it is visible. That is really good. So let's just try to discuss this code. This is basically nothing but for your responsive website. Okay. So let me just show you the code so we'll be quickly able to finish it. Just see guys, if I just talk about myself, like there are like multiple languages that you have to work with. Like I used to work with Python is basically there, Java, this thing is basically the HT. Sometimes I have to write code with HTML, CSS also. Bash, Perl, Ruby, these are basically the languages. So you have to work little bit hard at that time. So let's just start it. Responsive website will be basically going to create over here. So yeah. So what we have did over here, guys, let's just say this is basically the body that we have created. Okay. Like this is basically your div, class header is basically there, H1 is basically there. Uh, so after that, we have the flight, city, island, food, multiple things are basically there. Again, we have created a div where class name is call6. So what we have did, H1 is basically the city. Now, first, let me just show you what is this responsive website is. Let us just say right now it is like this only. But if I'll be just going to inspect it, and if I'll be just going to click on this one, now you'll be able to see previously the city basically was over here in the bottom of the food like this. But if you'll be like able to see one thing, that if my this thing is increasing or decreasing, okay, this one, let me just show you like this, okay, like this. If I'll be just going to zoom it, maybe yeah, at that time you'll be able to see this city is basically getting shifted over here. But if I have a good screen size or a resolution size, at that time you'll be able to see this is at the bottom. So this is basically what a responsive site is. So what we are basically doing over here, let's just try to understand that what we are basically trying to do over here is, okay, just one second, guys. Okay. Now, look, Krishna, if you look HTML and CSS, if I just talk about this is like good, but there are like more job with respect to React JS is basically there. Okay, you even have to learn Bootstrap at that time if you know CSS. All right, but the main thing is if you know Python, you can basically get into data science also. Plus, you can even get into Python development. That will be more good to you. So if you want, just do one thing. Basically, you can ask the Let's Upgrade team. I think basically we have some interviews question as well. Plus, you will be going to get interviews question on Google also. Just try to follow that. Just try to follow LinkedIn also. Over there also, you used to get lot of cheat sheets. Okay, so that what you can basically do. Try to apply on LinkedIn, Naukri, and Internshala, guys. Plus, there are some sites also. Angel List is also there that you can apply. Okay. So just see this thing, guys. So what we are basically doing, this is my HTML code. I have some classes, row is there, in which I have this row that is flight, city, land, food is basically there. And this is the parent no, div. This is the child div. Again, I have some description of it like call six, the city. There's a little bit a description about the city. Okay, the city. And if I just talk about, okay, this heading is basically there. So something I have basically written over here just for the demo purpose that is basically looking like this. That is basically looking like this, guys. Okay, just see animation is basically also there. I have even added. So what is basically responsive site is. So all of these styles we have already discussed. There is nothing new in it. The only thing that is new over here, that is this media query. You just have to write it in such a way. Let us just say at the rate media only screen and max width 786 px. That means agar meri screen ka size, if my screen size will going to be 767 also, or let's just say 500, at that time this will like going to shift like this. You'll be able to see now city, you'll be able to see over here. So this is how this site will going to look at that time. Okay, flex wrap is basically nothing. Just the display is basically flex. So what it used to do is that flex wrap is basically wrap over here. So what is basically that? That if you have multiple containers over here, okay, so it can adjust it. If you remember that in the this thing we have discussed about it, let me just show you that so you'll be easily able to understand it. You'll be easily able to understand it. Let me just show you that to you. Flexbox we have seen, right? So on the Flexbox, the flex and flex wrap was basically there. So let me just tell you what is basically, let me just show you my screen also. So if, okay, just see one thing. If you basically want to know about this, what is this flex? Okay, this is nothing but a display type flex we have basically mentioned over here. So let us just say how you can basically understand that how it can manage the things on a site. Let us just say I told you that let us just say if you have a toy box and what you basically want to do, you basically want to arrange, you basically want to keep each and every toy in that particular box. Okay, so flex is basically something that will going to be your box and you will be easily able to put all of your toys in that particular box. And if I just talk about what is this, display is equal to flex, this is basically nothing. This basically makes the box a flex container. Now there are some advantage with respect to the flex container. What are basically that? Okay, the main advantage is, let us just say you can have as many as content as you want, or let us just say if there is a box, that particular box, if there are multiple toys, you can put as many as toys you want over there. If I just talk about a flex property, let's just say flex will going to 1. That means the each toy will going to take one space over there. Okay. That is basically what your flex is. Now, let us just talk about this thing. So what we are saying over here, guys, that if the max width is less than the maximum width, if the width, my width is going to be 766 also, or let's just say 600, at that time, what will basically going to happen, guys? Yes, we'll be going to make portfolio. Just wait for 5 to 10 minutes. Yes, Ashutosh, you will be job ready after HTML, CSS, and Python. But if you'll be going to focus on Python more, that will be really good for you. Okay. Python is like enough. Now, so what we'll be going to do, we have a menu class over here. I have shown you that this class we have named it as two things, that call six and menu. So what we are doing in menu, we are choosing the li, that is basically nothing but your list, the flight, the city, the land, the this thing. And after that, we are giving it a padding as 10 px. That means if my resolution will going to drop, if my pixels will going to drop, at that time the padding should be 10 px. The rows that we have display flags, that means it will be able to manage itself. And what we have mentioned over here, guys, just see, we have mentioned each and every class that is starting with a call like this. Okay, I want the width to be 50%. Box size is going to be a border box. What does this thing really means? Okay, so let us just see this thing. What does this thing means? Now let us just see. If I just talk about this flight, the city, the island, the food, it is taking the whole space, whole width, the 100%. But if I'll be going to zoom it, it is just taking 50%. And this city and the description of it is basically taking the rest of the 50%. So this is what we have mentioned, that if the pixels will going to drop, at that time it should only consider 50% of the width. Okay. But if you'll be just going to write, instead of max, if you'll be just going to write minimum width, what will going to happen? Just see. That minimum, this should be there. But if I'll be just going to enlarge it, you'll be able to see city is basically here. But if I basically zoom it, you'll be able to see city will going to come on the bottom of it. All right. That is basically what a responsive site is. Like this, we have like multiple properties over here, multiple ways of making a website more responsive. Okay. So this is what we are basically doing, guys, over here. Now, let me just do one thing. Let me just show you the final project over here. And after that, we'll be basically going to end this session. So, okay, just give me 1 second, guys, now. Okay. So just give me 1 second for now, guys. Let me just share my entire screen. I hope it will be visible. Okay, it is visible. Good. Okay. So just wait for it. So this is how this will be my portfolio project that I'll be going to show you. So let me just show you. This is how it will going to look like. Okay, this is how it will going to look like. If I just show you the whole site, this is how it will look like. A portfolio. This is nothing but a portfolio, guys. Right over here, my name is basically written. This is like my home page. About, resume is basically there. Portfolio is there. Contact is basically there. And after that, I have basically written, okay, hello, I am Satyam, a data scientist. Welcome to a data scientist profile. I'm Satyam, I skilled and a data scientist. Blah blah blah. Multiple things I have basically written. So over here, like if someone will going to click over here, hire me, they'll be like able to get my contact number and all and the mail. Like these are the things that we can basically do in the back end. But this is basically the front end over here. Okay, so if I'll be just going to click on home, I'll be able to know, people will be able to know about myself, about like my contact number will be there, my email will be there, my LinkedIn profile, my GitHub profile. Okay, these other things like will be there, about like skills will be there in the about section. So how do we do that? Okay, so for that we have will be going to do this project. Over here you will be able to see this is basically the screenshot of mine that I have basically used over here. Okay, Ankit, this is not responsive, but you can make it responsive. Okay, now this is just a like demo thing that I am basically showing you over here. Prasanna, Prasanna, just see one thing, that this is just a demo over here. Okay, because yeah, if I just talk about, yeah, I basically work as a data scientist. Now, so two things will be there. Let me just clear all of these things so you guys will not have any kind of a confusion over here. Let's just keep only two files over here. Uh, Sorry. Index will be there and CSS part will be there. So what I have basically did over here, this is basically nothing but a HTML page that I have created. So over here, I have basically linked my SD style sheet over here. And after that, what I have basically did in the body, I have basically added a nav. Nav is basically stands for navigation. Okay, the navigation, this part. Okay, I'm talking about. So this is basically your navigation. Over here, I have mentioned this logo is basically there, right? The class that I have created, Satyam, this Satyam that you will be able to see. Okay, this is basically that. And the first parent class that I basically have, the container, I have named this as name underscore underscore content. All right. And after that, I have created div class logo a, that is basically nothing but I am just passing Satyam over here. Okay, basically a tag where you can basically pass for links also. Now, label I'll be going to create for classes, for check, and class checkbox. This checkbox I have basically created, but there is like no use of it. Like if you can make it something like this. Okay, click over here if you like my profile, so it will basically send some kind of a notification to me. This thing will be there. Now, after that, yes, I'll be going to give you all the code that we have discussed in this session. Don't worry, after this session, if you'll be going to go on your this site, this one link documentation. So at that time, you'll be easily able to get all of these codes, all of the PPTs that I have shown you tomorrow. Now, after that, what we have did, that I have a ordered list. Okay. Sorry, unordered list. I basically have where I have home, about, resume, portfolio, contact is basically this thing. Home, about, resume, portfolio, contact. And you will be able to see when I'll be just going to hover my mouse over here. Okay. I'm clicking, but this is not clickable for now because we are just learning about front end, not back end. So if I'll be just going to click home, about, resume, portfolio, contact, you'll be easily able to see that it is showing some kind of an animation, right? So we have even added it over here. Okay, all the things that we have seen in the video, all the things we have basically added over here. So home, about, resume, portfolio, contact is basically there. And after that, we have a again a navigation where I have created a section, guys. Okay, for a particular section, let us just say what I have added. Hello, I am Satyam and data scientist. In a spam, I have added this thing. Satyam. Just see. I am Satyam, a data scientist. This is what I have basically written over here. Okay. So this is basically what? This is my one section. And all the things that I have written over here, this is nothing but this will going to be in my paragraph. Or I want, if I want, I can basically mention it in one more section also. So nothing, I have just written about me only over here. Okay. If you want, you can add something from your own also, about yourself also. Okay. And we have closed the paragraph. And after that, we have again a new container where the class action underscore underscore btn is, where button is basically there, where it is saying, okay, hire me and portfolio. So this thing that you will be able to see, hire me and portfolio, that is nothing but that is a button. If you'll be going to click on hire me, this will going to send me, let us say, some kind of a notification that get ready for the interview at this time and all. Okay. And after that, hire me portfolio is basically there. So two things, these are nothing but these are my buttons. Like submit button, I have told you. Okay. Like submit button, we basically uh, have seen over here. And after that, I have basically added my image over here. So what we'll be basically going to do, div class is equal to image. All right. So I have basically added this thing, image, that is my source over here, source of the image. And alter I have written like my profile picture. I can basically even write if you want. Okay. So this basically gave little bit more information. All right. So this is how it will going to look like. Now, if I just talk about the CSS, what things we have did in the CSS, let us just say first we have mentioned, but first we have basically written a main root. Let us just say primary color will going to be this thing. So at now in future, if I have to call these colors, let us just say in real life, you have to work with some kind of a color. So at each and every time, you'll be not going to just call that color. So we'll be going to store it in a particular variable. At that time, what we have did, primary color, we have picked up this one. Okay, primary color dark, we have picked this one. So whenever I want to call these things, I'll be just going to call these variables. Okay. Now, after that, what we have did, I have basically mentioned over here. I have over here given the this thing also. So if I'm really going to mention star, so padding is basically what? Padding is zero, margin is zero, box size is border box. So padding and margin is basically nothing. But if I just talk about box sizing, what is basically that? So a border box. This changed the box model used by the browser. The default box model include only the content size, and padding and borders are added to the total width and the height. By setting the box sizing to the border, it include padding and border in the element total width and height. This make it easier to work with the calculated dimension, especially when using percentage based width or responsive designs. Whenever you will be going to mention, okay, I want width to be 100%, maybe 80%. So at that time, it is really useful to use a box sizing is equal to border box. And after that, whole body will be going to talk about that pop-ins. This is the like font that we are using. This thing, the font that you will be able to see. This is that basically font. And this is again another font. After that, I have a navigation over here. Width is like 100%, position is fixed, and this is the color. If you want, you can change the color to the red, and let us just see how it will going to look like. So this is your navigator. This is how it will basically going to look like. So let us just keep it on the white color only, this one, so it look basically more good. Okay, that is like now. After that, what we'll be basically going to do, we have nav content. What is this thing? Okay, if I'll be just going to copy this thing, and if I'll be just going to open my index.html and I'll be going to paste it, you'll be able to see this is nothing but this is a class name. So we are just calling that class where we are defining max width. I basically want this one. So how will you going to call it? Var. That is nothing but a variable we are calling, and we are just calling this variable over here. Okay. Margin is basically auto, that automatically it will be going to decide. There's no manual thing I'll be going to mention. Padding is there, that is 1.5 rem and 1 rem. Now what is this rem is? Just wait. Again, display flex we are basically using, and align item is basically centered, that in the center I want basically these things. Okay, so let's just try to understand what this REM basically is. So REM is basically nothing. REM basically stands for root M or root M unit in CSS. It is a unit of measurement used in web design and CSS to specify size and spacing relative to the root element font size. All right, let's just try to understand that which is relative to the font size of the. Okay, not this one. Let me just make it more clear. Yeah, let us just say, for example, if the root element font size is set to 16 pixel, so 16 pixels means 1 REM. Okay, it is just like 1 centimeter, 1 meter. If we are using 1.5 REM, that will going to be 24 pixels. So this is again a way in CSS how we'll be going to write it. Okay. Now, why we have mentioned two things over here, 1.5 REM and 1 REM. So 1.5 REM, this value sets the top and bottom padding to 1.5 times the size of the root font size. Okay, what was the font size was there in the root? We'll be just going to set it 1.5 more times of it. And 1 REM, this 1 REM basically stands for, this value sets the left and right padding to 1 time the size of the root font size. Okay, this will going to set top and bottom, and this will going to set left and right. Okay. Similarly, what is this logo A? Just see, it is nothing. But again, this is we are talking about this particular Satyam. Okay, not this one. Just 1 second. Yeah, logo Satyam. Where this thing, this logo we are talking about. Okay, this is basically the logo that you will be able to see over here. So we are talking about this thing, that this is going to be the primary color. But if you like want to change it, you can choose. Let us just say text dark. You can basically choose over here. Logo, and let's just save it. So you'll be able to see it is now black. But let it just be in the previous color only. Just see like this. Now, unordered list is basically there. So again, we have added a little bit styling over here. Displays flags. I want it to be in centered in the ordered list. This thing that you'll be able to see over here. All right. Now padding, we have basically added over here in the which in this thing here. In your unordered list, your list will be there, and a tag was there. Just see unordered list is there, and a tag is basically there. We have home, about, resume, portfolio, contact. So this thing we have said padding, I want this one. You'll be able to see a gap between these things, right? So this is what the same thing we have mentioned over here. Okay, now just see this thing transition, that is 0.3 second. That is this thing only. If I'm basically moving it, you'll be able to see a little bit transition over here. Okay, this thing, this is what we have basically added over here. So whenever you'll be going to hover your mouse over there, so at that time you'll be able to see a transition. Okay, this is what we have basically mentioned over here. Similarly, the same styling for these things, let us just say image, you'll be able to see that in image what we are basically doing, the width is basically there. Okay, so over here we have mentioned, okay, I want this much. Minimum should be 25 REM, that is 1 REM is equal to 16 pixels and 90%. Border radius should be 100%. So you'll be able to see, okay, this is basically not in a square, this is basically in a radius. Yes, you can use anything, 1 underscore or 2 underscore, that is up to you. Okay. So this code, you'll be able to see all the things that we have seen. The same thing we have like applied over here, guys. The same things we have basically applied. So this code and each and everything I'll be just going to share with the Let's Upgrade team, and they'll be going to upload it on their documentation, on their this thing, one link. Okay. So I'll be going to share this thing, this code, and all the things that we have seen, the PPT and each and everything. So you'll be able to access it, and you will be able to do the revision and all. You can basically write something, anything you can basically write. Okay. Logo is not like logo. Why do you want a logo over here? Like this is how a portfolio should look like. But if you want, you can add a text and you can basically style it with the CSS. If you want to add your name over here. Okay. Okay, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this 3-day boot camp. It was really nice with all of you. Okay. So over here we have discussed some basics about the HTML and CSS. Now you can practice more from your end and you can like start applying for the jobs also. Certificate you will be obviously going to get after this session. Okay. Yeah, same here, guys. Same here. Same here. So, okay, this is it for today's session, guys. Then bye bye, each and everyone. Take care, guys. Take care. Okay, bye. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye. Take care.